Hello, so in today's video, we're going to look at proving half angle formulae. So in the previous video yesterday, we looked at proving double angle formulae. So proving the formula that you can get for sine 2 theta, cos 2 theta, and tan 2 theta. Today, we're going to look at half angle formulae. So these are not formulas that you necessarily need to know for A-level maths, or you necessarily need, I would say you don't need to learn these off by heart. But it's good to know where they come from, and it's good to know how you would prove these three formulae in case you get a question guiding you through the process of how to prove the formulae for sine theta over 2, cos theta over 2, and tan theta over 2. So let's start with just having a little recap of something. So remember from our previous video that we proved the cos double angle formula. So this formula here, the cos 2 theta, is cos squared take away sine squared. And we can also rewrite it like this. So 2 cos squared take away 1 and 1 take away 2 sine squared. So we had like three different ways from yesterday's video of doing this, this cos double angle formula. So yeah, if you're not seeing that video from yesterday, please check out my video yesterday, the previous video on this in the playlist. So just a little note that I've done here up here in red. So if cos theta is equal to cos squared take away sine squared theta, so again, the formula there, if A is a number, a real number, then that means that cos of the number times the angle is equal to cos squared of the number times the angle, take away sine squared of the number times the angle. And in fact, sorry, I've missed out. Sorry, this is a mistake because I missed out another 2 here. That should be a 2 there. So cos 2 theta equals that. Then 2 lots of A theta is equal to cos squared A theta, take away sine squared A theta. So basically, if you multiply the angle there, then it means you multiply the angle there. I mean, this is kind of like just functions knowledge, really. If you multiply the argument of a function by a number, it means you multiply the arguments of the functions in your result by that same number as well. So if we half this number there, that means we half the angle there, and we half the angle there. Sorry, let me just do that clearer. And we half the angle there, and we half the angle there. Or if we multiply that angle by 10, for example, it means we multiply this angle by 10, and that by 10, and that by 10. So what I'm trying to say here is that, well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So cos theta is the same as cos squared theta over 2. Take away sine squared theta over 2. And again, that's the same using the formulas we used yesterday. That's the same as 2 lots of cos squared theta over 2. Take away the number 1. And that's the same as 1 minus 2 lots of sine squared theta over 2. So what we're going to do in particular is use these two formulas here. They're going to be the two key formulas that we're going to need. So cos theta equal to this, and again cos theta equal to this. So what we're going to do, so we're going to use the cos theta equals 2 lots of cos squared theta over 2 take away 1, and the formula 1 minus 2 sine squared theta over 2 equals cos theta. And we're going to use those formulas to get the half angle formula. So let's start with using number 1. So we want to try and get a formula for cos theta over 2 and sine theta over 2. Actually, if we start with this first one here, we're going to get a formula for cos theta over 2. So looking at this number 1 here, so cos theta equals 2 cos squared theta over 2, take away 1. If we just add 1 to both sides, we get 1 plus 2 cos theta equals 2 cos squared theta over 2. If we then divide both sides by 2, we would get the cos squared theta over 2 is equal to 1 plus cos theta divided by 2. And then lastly, if we square root both sides, we would get the cos theta over 2 is equal to the square root of 1 plus cos theta over 2. And technically plus or minus as well, because cos values on a cos graph can be either positive or negative. So technically you could have a positive and negative solution as well. So that would be your half angle formula for cos. Let me just put a box around that. So that is the half angle formula for cos. So cos of a half theta is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cos theta over 2. And then we can do a very similar thing to work out the sine half angle formula. So that's the cos the cos half angle formula, but we can now work out the sine one. So what we're going to do using this second formula up here, so cos theta is equal to 1 minus 2 sine squared of theta over 2. I want to try and make sine theta over 2 the subject. So what I can do is I'm just going to actually add the 2 sine squared theta over 2 to both sides. 2 sine squared theta over 2 plus cos theta equals the number 1. I'm then going to take away the cos theta from both sides. So 2 sine squared theta over 2 equals 1 minus cos theta. I'm then going to divide both sides by 2. So sine squared theta over 2 is equal to 1 minus cos theta over 2. And then lastly, like we did before, just square root both sides, and we will get this result here. So sine of theta over 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 1 minus cos theta divided by the number 2. So that is our sine half angle formula down there. So we proved the sine half angle formula and we proved the cos half angle formula. So those are our two formulae. The only difference really is the sign there. So with the cos half angle formula, you've got a plus sign up there. And with the sine half angle formula, you've got a minus sign down there. So now let's look at the tan half angle formula. So again, it's using this identity that tan is the same as sin over cos. So our remember that our sine half angle formula was this one here. So it was 1 take away cos theta over 2. So 1 take away cos theta over 2, plus or minus as well, technically, divided by plus or minus 1 plus cos theta over 2. So, I mean, we can just combine this really into one massive fraction. So you got the square root of a number over the square root of a number. So this is technically just plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cos theta over, sorry, let me write that a little meter, cos theta over 2, all divided by 1 plus cos theta over 2, this result down there. So when we divide fractions, remember, keep, change, flip. So, I mean, this is just the same as plus or minus the square root of, so keeping my first fraction, so 1 minus cos theta over 2, change this division, this big division there by a times sign, and then flip this last fraction over, so 2 over 1 plus cos theta. And then what we see now is that the 2 cancels out, the 2's cancel out, so 2 divided by 2 is obviously the number 1. So you do get this result here. So you get that this is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cos theta over 1 plus cos theta. And this is the half angle formula for tan. So tan of a half theta is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cos theta over 1 plus cos theta. And again, it can be positive or negative. Tan can take both positive and negative values. So yeah, so that's our formula for proving the half angle formula for tan. So as a summary then, really I should put the plus or minus signs here just to be properly correct. So the summary is that sine of a half theta is plus or minus square root of 1 minus cos theta over 2. Cos of a half theta is plus or minus square root of 1 plus cos theta over 2. And tan of a half theta is plus or minus 1 minus cos theta over 1 plus cos theta, all square rooted. So that's just a summary of how you can prove the half angle formulae. You don't really need to use these much. I mean, you don't have to learn these ones. It's just good to know how you can prove them in case you get a question that asks you to prove these formulas.